short little lesson for today. In the book of Job, can't remember the chapters and verses, but you can look it up. The Bible says, "From my mother's womb I came into this world naked, and naked I will leave the world. The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away." Well, the Bible also says that God works all things together for the good of those who love Him. Now, today, I have a problem. Battery died. As some of you guys might know, I'm in between jobs right now. I have an interview tomorrow. I don't really have money to be able to replace my battery. Maybe enough money to be able to get a used one. But I'm really not that worried about it, because one way or another, God has some kind of a plan going on right now. Now, I'm not saying that God caused my battery to die. God doesn't do bad things to us. However, God does allow bad things to happen. And you would think, well, why would He do that? He's a loving God. And like that verse said in John, He works all things for the good of us who love Him. Well, that's the point exactly. Many times God will allow us to be tested. He will allow us to go through things that are frustrating, debilitating, downright discouraging. What do you do with it, though? Do you get mad? Do you get depressed and discouraged? Do you throw a fit? Get upset? Or do you take a deep breath and you say, you know what? God's got this. Now, of course, there's things that I have to do in this situation, naturally, but I shouldn't just sit back in despair and think, oh, woe is me, and pout and think that God's doing this to me to punish me for some way. There's a reason these things are happening. I don't know what God has planned. I don't understand His plans, but He's got something that He has up His sleeve right now, and He's allowing me to be tested. Keep me in your prayers, obviously, but I've got faith. There is some kind of good reason as to why this is happening. If you guys are going through a tough time right now, keep those verses in mind. And the two of them go very well together, because if you remember Job's situation, many bad things happened to him. A car breaking down, being in between jobs, that would have been light for what he went through. He lost everything he had. And yeah, God allowed Satan to do that stuff. Satan had to go through God to do that. But just remember what happened whenever Job kept his faith. Everything pushed and pushed at him. He kept his faith. He kept thanking God for what happened. And then he got more. He got back more than was taken from him. So if you're going through a situation like this, keep it in mind. We're allowed to be tested, and through our testing, our faith will increase. Allow your faith to do a little bit of work today. I'll see y'all later. And just a little addition to that video that I made earlier. By the grace of God, things worked out. Now, for one, with the old battery, it was wild. I left it running for a little while, and then what I did is I turned it off. Well, somebody had jumped me off, so that's why I left it running for a little while. And then I turned it off, let it sit for about 5 minutes, cranked it back up, and it actually turned on. It actually worked. The battery I had in there, by the way, is probably running on about 6 or 7 years old, possibly older than that. Very old battery. So it's a miracle that it actually made it as far as it did. And then, thank God, my mom and Thomas managed to be able to find another battery. It was pretty expensive. They bought it for me, and they blessed us with buying the battery for us. They may not try to let me, but I'm going to pay them back one way or another, whether with money or with work. And we'll find something to do to be able to pay them back for that. But I just wanted to make this little bit at the end to prove to you guys, to show you that, hey, if you don't worry, have a little bit of faith, God will handle everything. I did not ask them to go find me a battery. I didn't. They did it on their own. So it's just an amazing thing. I'll just leave this as it is. No reason to make it any longer than it needs to be, other than saying thank you to my mom, thank you to Thomas, thank you to God, and thank you guys for your prayers and your support. Even though I know I didn't post this video for you to be able to pray about the situation. Looks like you didn't have to. I'll see y'all later.